Hey everybody, David here, and this is another Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition character creation tutorial. And this tutorial, we're going to create a cleric from A to Z. Now the cleric is pretty much the life of the party. But in 5th edition, the cleric has a lot of versatility as well, depending on which archetype or divine domain that you choose. Every class in D&D 5e, they get to choose an archetype, whether they get it at level 2 or level 3 like most of the other classes do, but the cleric is the exception, and they get to choose their divine domain or archetype at level 1. So we are going to go ahead and make a light cleric, a light domain cleric. Now, however, take into consideration, there's a lot of other possibilities. You can go with a more melee-based, which is the war domain. You can go with a light-based, which is more of a caster or nuker type of cleric. There's a nature-based cleric. There is a death domain cleric in the Dungeon Master's Guide on page 96. There are so many options for the cleric, and there will be more to come in the future as well. I can guarantee you that. So, like I said, this character creation tutorial, we are going to go ahead and make a life cleric because we want to make something that is going to be able to sustain the life of the party. So let's get going. We are going to go ahead and name our character. We will call him Dritston. This is my very first cleric's name back when I started in '84 playing classic D&D. So we are going to have him be a level 1 cleric. And his race is going to be, let's go with the Hill Dwarf. I say the Hill Dwarf is a good choice. You know, that's another good thing about D&D 5e. They give you the luxury of choosing any single race that you want to. And a lot of these races, like the Dwarf, they have, you know, sub-races as well. There's the Hill Dwarf and the Mountain Dwarf. Like the Elf will have the Eladrin from the Dungeon Master's Guide. There's also, you know, a wood elf. There's also a dark elf. So there's all kinds of different choices in D&D 5e, which choices are good, and that's what people want. People want choices. So we have our class, we have our race. We're going to go ahead and start with a neutral alignment. We'll have 0 XP. My name is David. The background, we are going to go ahead and go with, there's a lot of different backgrounds, but we are going to go with Acolyte for this traditional type of cleric that I'm creating. Alright, so the first thing that I always do is I always check out the racial bonuses. Now, as you can see, Constitution and Wisdom, you're going to start with a +2 Con, and then you're going to have a +1 Wisdom, so we'll add that in. Dwarven Toughness, just because you're a Hill Dwarf, you will get an automatic 1 hit point per level bonus for a total of 20 at max level at 20. Dark Vision, you're going to get 60 feet, meaning that you can see, you know, bright light and then dim light beyond that. Dwarven Resilience, this is really nice. Remember, don't forget about this. When you're a Hill Dwarf, you will get advantage on poison saving throws. And you're also resistant versus poison damage, meaning in D&D 5e, resistance means you only take half damage. So if you get hit by a poison bolt for 20 damage, then you will only take 10. Now you also get Dwarf Combat Training, which gives you a bunch of different proficiencies in Dwarven types of weapons, such as the Battle Axe, Hand Axe, Throwing Hammer, and Warhammer. Tool Proficiencies will gain proficiency with Smiths, Brewers, and Mason tools. So wow, we get 3 tool proficiencies off the bat. And also you'll get Stone Cunning, which is very, very important also. So whenever you make a stonework type of history check, whether it be with, you know, maybe a history check, or maybe you could even go with some kind of other, maybe investigation check, maybe, because there's no dungeoneering skill anymore in 5e, you will have proficiency, and you'll be able to add your proficiency bonus to that. Now, whenever you do that, you just don't do it once, you double it. So, there you go. Very nice. Instead of a +2, you'll get a +4 to that check. So, there's a lot of bonuses, actually, for the Dwarf. So, let's go ahead and do our stats. We are going to go ahead and do I usually like to run my dwarfs with a light, not a light armor, but a medium armor. So I'm going to go ahead and go with a 15, 15, 15, 10, 10, 10 stat array, and that is using the 27 point buy. In D&D 5e, you get a 27 point purchase, and that's what we're going to do. So I will start, we will go ahead and do a 15 in wisdom. Wisdom is your primary stat for the cleric. We will go with a 15 constitution, and we will also go with a we're going to go with a 15 dexterity to get the armor bonus. Now, you're not going to be the best fighter per se, because we're really not going with strength. But you would have some options with dexterity using a finesse weapon if you would like to. But that's really not the theme that I'm going with this character. So we will go mainly with a holy symbol, and we'll do healing. And we'll also cast magic. Magic is very important for a cleric. So, alright, so base proficiency is going to be +2. Just like every other class in D&D 5e, they all get +2 to start with, up to a maximum of +6. I believe at level 16 or 17. Yeah, level 17. So, okay, as you can see, we have all of our stats done: 15, 15, 15, 10, 10, 10. So like I said, I'm not trying to squeak or eke every little single point. The point is to have fun playing the character and not to min-max it. So if you choose to play that way, that is your prerogative. I do not. So I like the role-playing aspect of playing Dungeons & Dragons. I always have, and I always will. Alright, so 15 dex is going to help with my armor class. Also give me, if there's maybe a finesse weapon that I pick up down the line, I can use that, because I'll have some dexterity bonus. Constitution, going to help with my hit points, obviously. Wisdom, primary stat for a cleric. It's also going to help with your spell attack and also your spell save DC number that people are going to have to roll their saving throws against you. So now that we've got our stats done, we can go ahead and start adding in our racial stuff. So we'll add +2 more con and 1 more wisdom. So we will have a 17 starting con and a 16 starting wisdom. Don't forget everything else. You're going to get +1 hit point. Don't forget your Dwarven Resilience, combat training, all of the tool proficiencies. So we'll have Smith, Brewer, and Mason tools. And I'll add these here in my proficiencies. Brewer, Masonry tools. So there you go. Very nice. We got a nice array of tool proficiencies. Now the 10s are not going to have any kind of bonus. The 15 will have a +2 bonus. The Constitution will have a +3 bonus. 18 and 19 will yield a 4, and then a 20 will be your +5. 20 is a maximum that you can have from using ability score improvements. So, alright, so let's go ahead and we can finish our initiative real quick here. It's based off of a d20 plus your dexterity score, so your initiative is going to be 2. Hit points for a cleric, they're 1d8, so at level 1 you automatically start at maximum hit points. So we will have an 11 and +1. Don't forget we get a +1 racial bonus for being a hill dwarf. So we will start with a total of 12 HP. Alright. Don't forget to add that +1. A lot of people will forget about that, and they'll forget about a lot of the other racial bonuses. And I've even seen people forget to add their starting race stat bonuses. Guys, don't sell yourself short. Seriously. Make sure you get all that added in. Alright, so hit dice. Right now we have a total of 1 hit dice. We are a level 1 NPC. Well, we are a level 1 character. So your hit dice is going to be 1d8. So in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, you get these, if you take a short rest, you will get to take a combat heal, an out-of-combat heal. So after an hour, you can expend your hit dice and do a your D8 for the cleric plus your con for every roll. So once you're level 5, you can do this 5 times. Once you're level 10, 10 times, so on and so on and so on. So the higher level you get, the more of these out of combat heals that you'll be able to use, so you won't have to expend your spells if you're not able to take that long 8-hour rest to get all of your spell slots back. So hit dice heals, very good in D&D 5e. Take 1 hour rest. 1 hour rest is a short rest. Alright, so we've got that under control. We've added our hit point, we've added our stats, we've added our tools. We're going to go ahead and probably use a warhammer for this. We're going traditional smash 'em dwarf. So like I said, now we have our Acolyte. That's what we've decided to go with for this character. And the Acolyte, we get to do some things with the Acolyte. First off, we get some skill proficiencies. We will get automatically insight and religion. So these little bubbles over here, these are our proficiencies. And these are the Dungeons & Dragons, the official Wizards of the Coast D&D 5e sheets. So if you want to download those, go to the Wizards of the Coast website, get this sheet printed out. It's definitely probably the best sheet out there. So, all right, like I said, we're going to start with insight and religion. And what happens when you are proficient in these skills means that you will get to add whenever, say for instance, we have wisdom associated with, insight. You will do a d20 plus the wisdom modifier, and then if you're proficient like we are in insight, you will add the proficiency, and the current proficiency is a bonus of 2. And then, like I said, over time, your proficiency bonus is going to continually raise up, so your proficiency bonus will always, actually give you a better chance of being successful with insight and whatever other skills that you're proficient in. So, okay. Now let's go ahead, and we've got our proficiencies there. Now we get 2 more languages of our choice, and as a dwarf you get common and dwarf to begin with. So we get 2 more languages. So let's go ahead and speak, let's go with gnome and halfling. We'll take a lot of the other humanoid languages that we can communicate with. Alright, so we're going to get some equipment, and our equipment is going to be our holy symbol, which is what we need for our spellcasting implement. And we'll also have a prayer book. And this is everything that you get just from choosing the Acolyte. And then we'll talk about the your class gear also. So we're going to get 5 sticks of incense. We will also get vestments, some common clothes, and a belt pouch with 15 gold in it. So that will allow you to have a little bit of coin. Now looks like we're gonna just about be everything here for the cleric, well, for the acolyte. Now, as you choose your background, there's going to be personality traits, which you get 2, an ideal, bond, and flaw. Those are also on page 127 of the player's handbook. And I also believe that the acolyte is in the free D&D basic rules also. So I'm going to allow you guys, I'm not going to choose the personality traits. You can either pick them out, or you can, if you like total randomness, you can also do a D8 to choose your traits, a D6 for ideals, bonds, and flaws. So I'll leave that up to you guys to pick your own. I will not do that for this tutorial. So, alright, so now we've got quite a few things done and filled in. Let's go ahead and go back to the cleric. So we've also got some other class features that we need to take into consideration. So we've got our starting hit points. We are going to be proficient in all of the other warhammers and axes and all that good stuff that the dwarf gets. But the cleric also is proficient in light and medium armor as well, with shields. So we will write that there. We're going to be proficient in all simple weapons. And don't forget, we're proficient in some martial weapons too, because like the warhammer, I believe, is a martial weapon. Light hammers, those are simple, but you're still going to get that from being a dwarf. Now, you don't get any tools for being a cleric per se, but remember, now that we're a dwarf, we did get these tools here, smiths, brewers, and mason tools, and we've got that here in our proficiency section. So now, saving throws. The cleric is proficient in wisdom and charisma saving throws. These work exactly the way skill checks work. Whenever you roll a wisdom saving throw, it'll be a d20 plus your wisdom modifier, which we have a +3, and you will add in proficiency, seeing that the cleric class is proficient in it. So we would have a total of +5 at level 1. So let's go ahead and start filling in all of these saving throws real quick. I get a 0 bonus with strength. I get a +2 dex saving throw. I get a +3 con saving throw. Intelligence is 0. Wisdom will be a base of 3. +2 is 5. And last but not least is charisma. I do not have any modifier, but the proficiency will still give me a +2. Alright, now for skills, we get to choose a couple more skills for being a cleric. We get to choose 2 from history, insight, medicine, persuasion, and religion. So seeing that we already got religion from being an acolyte, and we got insight, we don't have to worry about those 2. So now we just have to choose 2 from history, medicine, and persuasion. So I'm going to go with history and medicine, because I'm trying to fit the theme of being a more traditional type of cleric. So now we are proficient with 4 of these skill checks, and let's go ahead and fill the rest of these in. Dexterity is going to yield us a +2 to any kind of acrobatics checks, but depending on what armor you're wearing, there could be some disadvantage with like a stealth or something. Animal handling is wisdom, is going to give us a +3. Into any kind of intelligence, strength, or charisma, we'll have 0. Intelligence, history, even though we're 0, we're proficient, so we'll be a 2. Our insight, seeing that we're proficient, will be a 5. Medicine, we will also be proficient with 5. Perception is 3. Performance and persuasion. Intelligence is 0, but with our proficiency will be 2. And then the rest. Alright. Passive perception is basically 10 plus your perception score, which we have a 3, so our passive perception will be a 13. Passive perception works on finding traps, if your DM plays like that, or also if you see some sudden movement, maybe some eyeballs following you in a portrait, or eyes in a tapestry as you're walking by. So now our saving throws and our skills are done. Now let's go ahead and choose the rest of our equipment, because you do get equipment as a cleric. You get a couple weapons, you're going to get your armor. But you can forego that and forego getting your free gear for being an acolyte if you choose to roll. So whatever it is in chapter 5 for equipment, you can go ahead and choose for a cleric 5d4 times 10. So if you wanted to and budget it yourself, by all means go for it. 5d4 times 10. You'll have to buy all your gear. But if you go the free route, just take the free gear. It's going to probably even, you'll probably even make out in case you roll bad. So, okay, so we're going to get to choose a mace, a warhammer, if proficient. We're definitely going to take the warhammer. Okay. We'll just call it W hammer. Oh, we can't even do that. Our attack bonus with the warhammer, seeing that we're proficient. We are proficient because of our dwarf combat training. Alright, so our plus to hit will be proficiency plus our strength mod. So we're not going to get a strength mod. We will be a +2. Damage is 1d8 for the Warhammer. We will also be +2. No, we will be +0. You do not add your proficiency bonus in with any kind of damage bonus. Now, if you wanted to, you could go with a. If you really wanted to, you could go with a finesse weapon, and there are a couple light weapons that we could be proficient in that are finesse. One being the dagger, and that looks like that's about the only finesse. So if we wanted to, we could go with a dagger and get our dex bonus for attack. So we'll actually do that. So we'll do that and take a dex +2 plus our proficiency. We'll get a +4 bonus, and that'll be a 1d4 +2 because we have a dexterity. So finesse means that you can use strength or dexterity. It's a really nice change for 5th edition. It's actually really strong, so it allows you to choose the best of your two stats, but I'll choose one just in case we need to maybe throw it or something. Now also I want a couple light hammers, and these light hammers are basically going to be used for throwing, and you would use your strength for that because they are thrown, and they are also a 1d4, and we will not get any kind of damage modifier. Now down here for the Warhammer, let's we'll just say this is bludgeoning damage, and this is also versatile. What versatile means is for the Warhammer, you can use it 1d8 as a one-hander, or you can use it versatile, which mean you could use it one or two-handed, and if you're using it two-handed versatile, that means it's a 1d10. Pretty much just like the longsword. Now the dagger is piercing damage, and you can throw it, and you can throw it 20 or 60 feet. The way that this works is you can throw it normal, 60 feet, with no kind of penalty. If you throw 21 feet or further up to 60 feet, you will have disadvantage on your roll. Now disadvantage is you roll twice and you take the worst roll. Advantage is the opposite. You roll twice, take the best roll. But anything past 21 feet, throwing a dagger or even a light hammer, disadvantage on that throw. And we're going to go ahead and put our light hammer here also, which is bludgeoning damage, and it's 20 to 60 feet thrown. Same thing as a dagger. 20 up to 20 feet throws normal. Anything over 20 feet, disadvantage, roll twice, take the worst. Alright, so there's our weapons. We're done. We even added a little finesse weapon here just in case we wanted to get a little bit more of a bonus. Now let's go ahead and do our armor class. We can choose for our free equipment for starting as a cleric. We can choose scale mail, leather armor, or chainmail. So scale mail will give us a dexterity bonus, or later on, if we decide to raise our dexterity up, we could go full on, light armor and still get a great bonus using a shield. So let's go ahead and let's go with chainmail. Not chainmail. Let's go with scale mail. I believe scale mail is a base of 14. Just let me double check this really quick in the equipment section. Scale mail is 14 plus your dex modifier. You can only use a maximum of a 2 dex when you're using any kind of medium armor from hide to half plate. So we're going to go with scale. We'll have a 14 plus 2, which is perfect. That's exactly what we have. So we'll start with a 16, and then plus we're also going to throw a shield on there as well with our Warhammer, and that should give us another just another armor for our armor class. So we should have about a 17 armor class to start. I'm just double checking one more thing. Nope. Actually, a shield is +2. I was wondering if it was +1 or +2, but it is +2. So we're going to start with a 14 AC base plus 2 dex max. So we're going to have 14 plus our dex. We have a +2. That's 16. Plus we're going to have a shield as well. Wow, look at that. Right off the bat, we're starting with an 18 armor class. What's not better than being first level with an 18 armor class? That's really nice. Alright, so we've got all of our equipment too. Last thing we're going to take is a priest pack or an explorer's pack. Let's go ahead and take a. Let's go ahead and say our cleric's been on the road for a little bit, and we'll take the explorer's pack. Now, inside this explorer's pack, there's a lot of other gear, like a bedroll, there's rations, there's torches, soap, and a water skin. So we'll go ahead, we won't break that down here. I just want you guys to see that you get a free explorer's pack too, and you'll get some other gear. Plus you get some starting coin because of you're an acolyte. So that's pretty much it. Our traits, ideals, bonds, flaws, you guys can choose that anytime you want to. Looks like our all of our attacks and armor classes are done. We'll go ahead and say our dwarf has got brown eyes. We're pale, and we'll just say pale skin. And for our hair, of course, you got to have dark hair, dark black hair with a dwarf and a beard. All right, and then there's other things that you can describe your character appearance over here. Now, the next thing we need to talk about are the class features. The most important thing about being a cleric, your class features. So, at level 1, you get your divine domain. You also get spellcasting, so we will go over spellcasting first. Spellcasting, there's quite a few things that involve a cleric. The first and foremost important two things that you need to worry about are your spell save DC and your spell attack. So, let's go to page 3 of the character sheet. We are a cleric, so this is our spellcasting class. Your spellcasting ability for the cleric is Wisdom, of course. Your spell save DC. Your spell save DC is the number that the targets that you have to have roll against you for their saving throw. That is your spell save DC. So if you are a light cleric, for example, you cast Fireball. The light cleric does get to cast Fireball. They have to do a dexterity saving throw. So their saving throw is based off of your spell save DC. That's just an example. So your spell save DC is a base of 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your wisdom modifier. So we have an 8 plus we're level 1, we get a +2 proficiency, and we have a +3. So that means that we have, starting at level 1, we have a 13 spell save DC. Very nice first level starting save DC. Next up, your spell attack bonus. Your spell attack bonus is any attack that you have to have with a spell. Basically, it's just like swinging a weapon, but you're throwing a spell, so you need a spell attack. That is the same formula minus the 8. So you don't have to worry about adding a base of 8. You just take your proficiency bonus and your wisdom modifier, add them together, and our spell attack bonus at level 1 is going to be 5. Now, the cleric, they get spells. Now, spells can get a little tricky in D&D 5e. The cleric is a more traditional type of caster, just like the druid, just like the wizard. So, whenever you have a cleric, you have to pray to your deity or your god to get your spells after a long rest. When you pray, you get your spells, you have a pool of spells that you need to select. And starting at level 1, you get, only first level spells. It's really nice that you get to cast first level spells, so you'll get to cast 2 first level spells. Now we'll come back to that. It's totally different. A spell pool is totally different than your spells slots per day, and we'll explain that in just a second. So you're going to start with cantrips. Cantrips are free cast, and the cleric, you get to choose a total of 3 cantrips, and out of the cleric cantrips, we'll say that you take light, we'll take spare the dying, which is really nice, and then we'll take, I believe Sacred Flame is also cantrip. So, and over time, as you get higher level for your cleric, you're going to get to choose a couple more cantrips. And cantrips do not take your spell slots. They are free cast. You can cast them every single round. But take into consideration, if you cast a cantrip, you cannot cast another spell unless it is a bonus action spell. Cantrip, bonus action, you can't do an action cantrip, and an action other spell. You can't just, it's impossible. You have to do, it has to be a cantrip bonus action. So, little rule, a lot of people don't know about that, but that's how it goes. Alright, so spell slots. These are the amount of spells that you can cast a day. You can cast 2 first level spells a day. Now, when you cast your 2 spells, you get to choose those spells out of your spell pool. Now, your spell pool is a number of spells that is your wisdom modifier and your cleric level. So our wisdom modifier is 3, cleric level is 1. We have a pool of 4 spells. Okay, we get a pool of 4 spells. So we get to choose 4 first level spells. We'll take Healing Word. We'll take Cure Wounds. And we'll take a couple more first level cleric spells. I believe that we could take Bless. And I'm looking at the cleric spell list right now. And the cleric spell list is on page 207. So we can take Bless, and we can also take, let's take a Shield of Faith. So we'll take Shield of Faith also. And we'll take Bless. So there's our 4. That's our 4 first level spells for our spell pool. Like I said, now you can cast 2 of these a day. So out of the 4 spells that you have memorized, you cast 2. Now whenever you take your long rest, you can always change what spells are in your spell pool. You don't always have to have Healing Word, Cure Wounds, Shield of Faith, and Bless. Depending on if you know you're going into a different situation, you can take different spells. If you need to have Create Food or other type of utility type of spells, you can change this. You just have to have a long rest, pray to your deity, and voila, you can change. So, like I said last time, your spell pool is different than your spell slots. Spell pool, level, plus your modifier. We have a 3 modifier, we're level 1. You get pool of 4 spells. 2 slots a day. Cast those 4 spells, any of those 4 spells twice. That's how it works. Alright, now, next up, that takes care of just about everything in spellcasting. Now we need to talk about a couple more things. The cleric also gets to cast spells as rituals. So, if a spell is labeled as a ritual, that means that you can cast that spell without expending a spell slot. Now, however, there is a downfall to this. It does take 10 minutes plus the action of the spell or the spell cast time of the spell. So if you want it, as long as it's labeled, and it will say labeled on the spell in the spell description, it will say ritual. It's 10 minutes plus that time that takes a cast. So also the implements. Your spellcasting focus, they're called focuses in 5e. Your spellcasting focus does not, which for the cleric is the cross. It does not give you a bonus to any attack. What it does is it satisfies the material components like bat guano for fireball, or witch's hair for this spell, or petrified goblin eye for this spell. Anything that doesn't have a monetary value assigned to it, that spellcasting component, that focus will satisfy that. Now you could also, in the equipment section, you can also get a spell casting pouch, spellcasting component pouch. It will do the same thing. So if you want to be more of a battle type of cleric, and you're always going to have your weapon and shield in your hand and not your weapon and your focus in your hand, like the light cleric probably would, then you're going to want to go with a spell component pouch so you can have all of those materials satisfied. Now, take into consideration, if you're going to, once you get higher level spells require some monetary material components. Like, for instance, even though the cleric doesn't get it, you can identify has a 100 gold piece diamond. You have to have that 100 gold piece diamond in your possession to use that spell. or if you're going to resurrect later on as a cleric, there's a multitude of different resurrections and raised dead. So each one costs a different amount depending on how far of a dead person you want to resurrect. So you just have to pay attention to that. And that's everything that deals with spell casting. Now, the final thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and choose our divine domain. And like I said, the cleric is one of the exceptions and one of the rare classes that gets to choose their divine domain at level 1 or their archetype. So we will go ahead and choose life. Now the life cleric, first thing, they get domain spells. So we're going to come right back to our domain here, or to our spell list, and they get domain spells. Now, the cleric gets 2 domain spells at level 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. So basically the first 5 spell levels. Now, the life domain cleric gets Bless and Cure Wounds. So now our Bless is now a domain spell. And I'm just going to go ahead and capitalize that. Cure Wounds is now a domain spell. So what, and I chose these 2 spells to show you guys what a domain spell does. Now when you have your archetype or your divine domain for the cleric, your domain spells add on top of your spell pool. So our spell pool is already 4. Now seeing that we have Healing Word, Cure Wounds, Shield of Faith, and Bless, we now take Cure Wounds and Bless out of it, because as a domain spell, that means that that is added on top of your daily pool of spells. So now, instead of our 4 spells, we actually have 6, because domain is always basically memorized. So now we get to choose 2 more cleric spells. So let's go ahead and choose Bane, and we'll choose Command. Oop, that is not a domain spell. So we'll go ahead and choose Command also. So now we've actually gained a couple spells because we've chose our archetype or our divine domain. So now we have our 4 spells, which are Healing Word, Shield of Faith, Bane, and Command, and then our divine domain spells, which are Cure Wounds and Bless. And your domain spells will always be catered to that type of art class or divine domain that you choose. So that's how domain spells work. You just add those on top of the normal spells. Now, you're also going to get class features as a cleric through baseline class features and also your archetype. So at level 1, you are going to get a bonus proficiency. So when you choose the life domain at first level, you will gain proficiency with heavy armor. So now, later on down the line, we can now use heavy armor. So you just add heavy armor onto this, onto your proficiencies. So now down the line, when you get more money and you want to get that plate mail, by all means go for it. There you go. Now also at level 1, let's go ahead and write over here. Let's make sure that we type in that we get proficiency with heavy armor. Alright. And that's a level 1 skill that we get. And there you go. So next we also get another level 1, which is due to our archetype, and this is going to be called Disciple of Life. And Disciple of Life is sort of like your bread and butter to being a cleric. Now, Disciple of Life basically means that your healing spells are definitely more effective. Now, whenever you use a spell of first level or higher to restore hit points to a creature, the creature regains additional hit points equal to 2 plus the spell's level. So, Cure Wounds, for instance, is a D8 plus your modifier. So you're going to do a D8 plus 3 for Wisdom. Seeing that you're a Life Cleric, you get to add Disciple of Life. So seeing that we are casting a first level spell, we get to add 2 plus the spell level, so there's another 3 more. So Disciple of Life is a really nice feature. Sorry about that. So what Disciple of Life does again is it adds an extra 2 plus the spell slot level of any healing spell to the creature. Alright, for instance again, Cure Wounds is a d8 plus Wisdom, so d8 plus 3. Disciple of Life lets us add another 3, so it'll be d8 plus 6. That's really strong. So that's all you're going to get at level 1. We will go ahead and continue this tutorial later on and actually take this Life Cleric up to level 20, and we'll show the entire process of leveling this thing up as all of the stats increase, proficiencies, saving throws, your attacks will add some magic items. So that's it for the Cleric. Really nothing hard, guys. So in a total of 40 minutes, we've discussed everything about the Cleric and made a first level character. So I hope you guys, this helped you out. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave them down below. And if you've never played a Cleric before, and if you want to try one, visit my website at tabletopping.net. You can choose from any Cleric that you want. There are 840 of these 3-page PDFs on the website. The link will be down below for the Cleric. Any class, any level, any archetype. Like I said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.